Ms. Ramos, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. It is 6 o'clock. Good evening, Community House Cavaliers. We wanted to welcome you to our Rising Ninth Grade registration night for Audrey Kell High School. I'm really sorry that you are not crowded into a lovely school cafeteria for this event, as we usually have it there in the cafeteria at Community House. But you are hopefully in the comfort of your own home and getting to learn all about what it's going to be like to have a ninth grader at Audrey Kell. I'm Jamie Brooks. I am the principal here at Audrey Kell. I do probably would recognize many of you if I had you all on my screen, as I did spend the last 13 years as the principal of Community House, and am still very attached to all of you and your students, and I'm looking forward to getting to work with them again next year. Do have our counseling staff from Audrey Kell here with us this evening, along with a couple of our members of the administrative team. We've got Bridget Rich with us this evening. She is in charge of the master schedule, so she will be able to answer lots of your master scheduling questions at the end. She is the current ninth grade assistant principal. Also have Christina Morgan here with us, and Miss Morgan will be the ninth grade administrator next year when your students get to Audrey Kell. So I wanted to start off and just tell you a little bit about me. You don't need to know much if you're from Community House. You probably already have heard my speeches many times over the years. I have been in CMS. This is my 27th year. This is my second year total at a high school level. I was at Audrey Kell the first graduating year as an assistant principal, and then have been, like I said, at Community House for the last 13, and came over to Audrey Kell this summer. So I'm a newbie at Audrey Kell, just like all of your students will be next year as well. I do have two children that have come through CMS. My oldest, Parker, graduated from Audrey Kell last year and is now a freshman at Clemson. And I have a 10th grader at Audrey Kell this year as well. So I also know what it is like to be a parent of a high schooler at Audrey Kell, and I know what it's like to go through that transition from middle school to high school. And I want each and every one of you to know that if you ever have any questions about anything that's not been addressed in this session or later sessions, you are always welcome to reach out to me, and I will be happy to help you as a parent and also as a principal both. So as you all have probably heard us talk about in numerous sessions in the past, Audrey Kell is one of the top performing high schools in the state of North Carolina. We do have some of the highest growth data in the state, and we are very, very proud of that. You're seeing on the screen right now some other important numbers, and that is our current enrollment, our current ninth grade, 10th, 11th, and 12th. You'll see how large we are, but that's nothing new to you. Community House is the largest middle school around, and Audrey Kell is one of the largest high schools. We do have a total enrollment of 3,430 currently. And we project to be about the same next year as well. You can see there in the center column our graduation rates. Our graduation rates consistently are some of the highest also in the state of North Carolina, and we aim to keep it that way. Our goal is to see your children successfully through Audrey Kell in 4 years, and to provide them with everything they need so that whatever choice they make when they leave our doors, they are properly prepared, whether that's a 4-year college, a community college, military, or the job world. We want your students to have everything they need to graduate in 4 years and be prepared for the next steps in their life. And you can see with our class of 2020, that was last year's class. 75% of them are at 4-year colleges or universities. 19% are at 2-year colleges or universities. And we do have students from AK attending 110 different colleges and universities. So along those lines, I'd also like to talk to you about a few things related to just the overall philosophies and beliefs of both myself and Audrey Kell High School. Having told you that Audrey Kell is one of the best schools in the state of North Carolina, I want you to know that we are never complacent. It is my job, it is our staff's job to ensure that we are constantly working to make Audrey Kell even better than it is today. And I commit to you that that is my focus as the principal here at Audrey Kell. I want to ensure that each one of those nearly 3,500 students at Audrey Kell has a positive experience, both in the world of academics, that they achieve at their highest levels possible. But beyond that, it is really my passion to make sure that each one of these students feels that they are heard and they are valued, that they have a place where they fit in, and overall that their voice is important at Audrey Kell. That is one of my main missions at Audrey Kell, is to make sure each child and each parent's voice feels heard. So how am I doing that? Right now in COVID, it's been quite challenging. We hope that next year we bring back some normalcy. But one thing I want to share with each of you that is very important to the work that the admin team and the teachers are doing at Audrey Kell right now is our work with equity. If you worked with me at Community House, that we've always been very passionate about our work with cultural proficiency and diversity and equity, and that is no different across the street at Audrey Kell. One thing that we are really talking about and digging into as we are wrapping up this year and thinking about planning for next year is applying what we call an equity lens to each and every aspect of Audrey Kell and each decision that we make. So what does that mean? That means that as we sit down and we make decisions about Audrey Kell and we look at things that are going on, we ask ourselves this question: is this system, is this decision, is it benefiting some and marginalizing others? And if that's the case, then we work to figure out how we can ensure that decisions that we make are benefiting and not marginalizing. We're working to make sure that we do not have systems that unintentionally disadvantage some while providing advantages for others. So we've already begun doing this work and having these conversations around AP enrollment, around the dress code, about extracurricular opportunities, about scheduling, and we will continue to have those conversations as we move forward. At Audrey Kell, I think it goes without saying that we have extremely high expectations. We have high expectations with regards to academics. We have high expectations of what's going on in our classrooms and what our students are completing. We look at the work tasks and we want to make sure that all students, regardless of what class they have decided to take, that they are being challenged at the highest levels. We also have high expectations for behavior. We haven't had a whole lot of trouble with that with the kids online other than our Zoom bombing, but I can assure you that when they return into the building, that they will be expected to follow certain rules and guidelines, and we will hold the students accountable and we will consistently enforce all of our different behavioral policies. We also have high expectations for our students with regards to their character and their respect for one another. And I bring this up because I want to make sure that I mention to you all that, similar to at Community House, we do have and will continue to have a zero tolerance policy for any kind of racial or discriminatory language or acts. That means that happen in our hallways, that happen in our sports locker rooms, on our fields, or on social media. We are not going to tolerate students disparaging other students based on race, gender, socioeconomic status, anything of that sort. And just like at Community House, each and every one of these situations needs to be brought to me so that we can talk through it as an admin team and make sure that we are providing the right type of education for those students and consequences if appropriate. But I want you all to know that anytime something like that occurs, and we hope to see less and less of those types of things over the years, I think our biggest issue is social media, but we want you families to know that we are here and we are in your corner and we will help support you in eradicating that type of behavior. You just have to bring it to us and we will help you handle it together as a team. Want to talk to you very, very briefly about making sure when you come over to Audrey Kell. I know it's huge and that's intimidating, but just like we tell you in middle school, get involved. We have tons of opportunities for our students to be involved in all sorts of different activities outside the classroom. Those types of things will help that environment of 3,500 seem a lot smaller for your student. We have got clubs for every sort of interest under the sun, a very diverse group of clubs and interest levels that you can find on our website. So we really encourage you, as you start thinking about next year, to have your students go through the website and have them look at the clubs that are available and have them start thinking about what they're interested in. Because as you build that high school resume, thinking about your days after high school and college, Colleges are going to want to see that you've committed to doing something that you're interested in. They don't want you to join 15 different clubs just to check things off a box. Instead, they want to find what is this kid interested in? And do I see that interest through their courses, through their extracurricular activities, through their volunteer work? Do I see a theme here emerging in what this kid is passionate about? That's what they're looking for a lot of times when your child is applying for colleges. So I know many of you, and I know you're going to be nervous. You're going to wonder, how is your child going to be supported in a school building that's got so many kids? Well, similar to the middle school, we do our very best to provide them with supports that are consistent for them throughout their 4 years at Audrey Kell. So, some of the different things that we provide for the kids, they will have a grade level administrator that will be with them for all 4 years. That's Chris Morgan, and I'm going to have her talk to you in just a minute. They also will be assigned a counselor who will be with them all 4 years. We assign counselors based on the letter of the alphabet. So those two people will be with your child throughout their 4 years of Audrey Kell. And something else that we offer at Audrey Kell that Ms. Morgan will talk about briefly is our homeroom teacher. Each and every student in ninth grade will be assigned to a homeroom. That group of students and that teacher will stay consistent for the kids all 4 years of high school. So right now, I'd like to introduce you to Ms. Morgan, as she will be your student's grade level administrator as they travel through their next 4 years of high school. Ms. Morgan?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, parents and students of the class of 2025 for Audrey Kell. I am very excited to be your administrator starting in the fall for the next 4 years, and I will be here to support parents and students through the entire high school career. I will second what Ms. Brooks said. We are a large school, but every day of your child's high school career, they will have three constants, three people to turn to if anything happens or they have a concern or they're having a bad day. The first person is myself as the grade level administrator. You can see I have a purple office. It's on the first floor where many of the freshman classes are. So my door is always open and the students can always find my office, big purple wreath above the door and the purple walls. That's on purpose. The second person is their counselor. They'll have the same counselor all 4 years, so the counselor will get to know them through their freshman meetings, sophomore meetings, junior, senior, get to know their interests, get to know their background story. And the other person is their homeroom teacher. Their homeroom teacher will also be the constant all 4 years. So the students in the homeroom, they will stay with all 4 years. It will be their group, their family, and just another resource and people to turn to. So they have an instant group, friend group, family group, their homeroom as they come to school. And it's through the homeroom that they receive information, get all the little projects done throughout the school. That's where the counselors come to speak to them. So homeroom is also an integral part of their life at Audrey Kell. So I just wanted to say, if throughout the 4 years you have any questions or concerns, the first two people you would turn to is either their counselor or me. So I just want to welcome all of you early to Audrey Kell, and I cannot wait until the fall when hopefully we are all together in this building and we can start your child's high school journey together. Have a great night.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. I want to talk just very, very briefly about one more topic before I turn it over to Ms. Ramos to really dig into the registration process. So as you all know, Ms. Ramos, you can go to the next slide. Thank you so much. As you all know, we are dealing with very unique times right now, and we are very aware as an Audrey Kell team that your students have not really had a lot of face-to-face instruction for the last entire school year. So with that in mind, we want to talk to you about some of the scheduling considerations for you as you sit down with your student to select classes for next year. I want to talk about year-long math and year-long English. You will notice on the registration card, and they will talk to you about this briefly, that there are two options with regards to English and math at the ninth grade level. One is the honors level, and the other is going to be listed as foundations and then English 1 or foundations and math 1. What I want you to think about is that in taking those foundations courses, what that essentially means is you would be having your student take English or math for the entire school year as opposed for just a semester. There is absolutely nothing wrong with doing this. We anticipate we're going to have significantly more students this year who choose that option. It is a sound option, as what it will allow is it will allow our teachers to fill in some of that interrupted instruction that has occurred as a result of the pandemic. It will allow us to re-loop back through some of the standards from the 8th grade as we also move through the 9th grade standards. It's a fabulous opportunity for your child to build a stronger foundation in English and in math before they move on to higher level courses throughout their high school career. It is so important that your students have got a solid foundation in both English and math to carry them through their 4 years of high school. So I really want you to think long and hard about whether or not your child could use some additional re-looping. And that just means going back to some of the standards from 8th grade as they move through the 9th grade standards. Our teachers will build those in together in those year-long classes. So it's something really important to think about as you decide what's best for your student. And we're doing that and expecting to do more of those this year to respond to this pandemic and the gaps that may exist in learning as a result. We also know that we will not have any test data, so it's really going to be important for you to talk with your 8th grade teachers. We have already had a vertical conversation with the 8th grade math teachers from both Community House and J. Robinson, and are working to schedule one with the language arts teachers from the 2 schools as well to help explain to the teachers what our courses are going to look like so that they can better guide you in choosing what's best for your student. We really want our parent input into what classes they want for their students. You will notice on the registration card, and many of you have already asked, why is standard not listed on the registration card for world history, for earth and environmental science? Why is the only standard for English and math if you take it year long? I want to explain that, and I want to go back to what I said at the beginning, which is we have been looking at everything at AK through an equity lens. What I want to make sure is clear is that when you take an honors level class at Audrey Kell, you receive an additional half a point on your GPA. So what that means is an A in an honors class is worth 4.5 towards the GPA, whereas an A in a standard class is 4.0, so forth and so on. We want to make sure that we communicate to every student that enters our doors that we believe in you, and we want to push you, we want to challenge you, and we want each and every one of you to have the opportunity to be in honors level classes and be on a trajectory that will land you in AP courses before you graduate from Audrey Kell. We want everyone to have that opportunity. So that is why we put all honors on our card, so that you know that that is your choice and that we believe in you and we believe in your students, and we want to give that opportunity to everyone. Now, with that being said, if you choose to opt out of that, notice our language here. We're not going to opt in, we're going to opt out. We're going to have open access for these honors level classes, and you don't have to do that. You can opt out. You can simply write it on the card that you would prefer standard, and Ms. Rich will talk to you more about that if you have any questions. When you go into Power School, a standard option will be there. I want to make sure you understand right now that we don't know exactly what the scheduling of that will look like yet, because I don't know how many people will choose to take standard level. The honors level courses do have more critical thinking. They do have more complex assignments, more complex text that's presented in an English classroom, and a lot of times go at a more rapid pace. But we believe in supporting all of our students to reaching that level if that's the level that they want to be at. So if that's not what you want, please make sure when you go into Power School that you do select standard, and we will work through the scheduling of that once we see how many students have asked for standard and what we believe is going to be best, so that even students that choose standard in 9th grade will still be introduced to the right types of instructional strategies, so that as they move forward, they can choose honors at the 10th grade or the 11th grade, or eventually still move into an AP class and not feel behind their peers. So I wanted to touch base on that before I turn it over now. For all the important stuff, Ms. Ramos, one of our counselors, is going to talk to you about the registration process. Ms. Ramos?
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Christy Lynn Ramos. I am one of the counselors here at Audrey Kell. I have last names DES through GON. So I'm one of 9 counselors that your student may be working with. So welcome to Ardrey Kell. We're so excited to present this information to you because we just know you've been just ready to go and ready to kind of move on and pick your next classes. So we're very excited to present this to you this evening. So first we're going to talk about the registration website. So we have put together an extremely comprehensive website, akregistration.weebly.com. Everything, including this presentation, is going to be on that site. So any extra forms, if you've lost the one that Ms. Johnson provided for you, or if you need to read more about AP classes, if you need to read more about any class at Ardrey Kell, every single thing is on there. So for example, you might be looking at a registration card saying, what is AP World History about? We do have a link on there that is written by the teacher about exactly what AP World History is and what a student can expect in that class and every single class that is offered and that is on the registration card. We also have some frequently asked questions on there, and there is a tab specifically for rising 9th grade registration where there's a video there's me right there in that video explaining exactly how to fill out the card. So if you need something a little bit more visual than just this spoken presentation, we do have that as well. That's a great one for kids to watch, and I believe they may have watched that in homeroom. So overview of the registration process, the information and registration cards were distributed in late February by the middle school. Students are currently allowed to enter their course selection. So they got instructions, I believe from their homeroom teacher or from Ms. Johnson about how to actually go into Power School and access this specific registration page. And they'll be using their registration card as kind of like a worksheet is how we like to think of it. So they'll have chosen all their classes, especially after tonight, getting all the information, and then they can go into Power School and actually enter those course selections. We actually do want those registration cards back. I know it seems like, why would we want it if we did it virtually? We do want them back because we do use them when the counselors are meeting with the students. So we'll divvy them up amongst ourselves, get the ones for our kids, and then we will actually use them in front of us as just a hard copy, as a double check, as a way for filing, just to check behind the kids as we are meeting with them. And those are due back on Monday, March 22nd. And I believe Ms. Johnson did provide information about how those will be, are expected to be returned. The counseling team at Ardrey Kell is going to meet with community house students on March 24th and 25th through their classes. It's nothing that will happen at home or in the evening. It will happen during class. Your student will be made aware of exactly how that's going to happen and at what time. So they will each have an individual meeting via Zoom, usually about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the intricacy of their schedule. They can, we're going to review their classes, check finalized course selections. And of course, if there's any concerns or if there's some, maybe something doesn't quite fit or something we want to discuss more, that student's counselor will reach out to the parent directly. Let's say the student is not sure about taking an AP class, for example, and they're like, let me see how kind of the rest of this semester goes. Virtual learning's been a little tough. Let me see if it gets any easier or whatever the consideration is. We have something called Amnesty Day in May. And so that's going to be about mid to late May, where a student can change any of their course selections, no questions asked. And we do that now because we really want to finalize things over the summer so that in the fall, it's not a scramble. So we really want students to really finalize and be sure about what they want to take by the end of this school year so that we're ready to go preparing the summer and then of course in the fall to start classes. And so in Power School, students will see their schedule in August. I'm sure they will hear before you do that it has been released because they are all texting and you know, getting the information, posting it, snapping it. So in August, their actual schedule with the, you know, period by period, teacher name, all that stuff will be released in August. So completing the registration card, we'd like students to use a pencil just in case, of course, we need to make any changes. There's a section top right for demographic information. This is super important because this is how we contact parents. So if you could just double check that your student, your parent email address is accurate on there, that would be awesome. And of course, we want the parent and student to sign it so that we know it's finalized and that you did review it with your student. Again, if you do want to opt out of the honors level science or social studies, you can write it in on your card and then just make sure you make that selection in PowerSchool. It's very simple. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of steps or a lot of things to do, but I promise it's much easier than it sounds. So here's the thing about high school. Scheduling might seem a little confusing, might seem like a lot. It's actually a lot easier than middle school because there's no rotations, there's no special, special thing that they have to do each day, or science and social studies switching all the time. It's pretty straightforward. Students will take 8 classes per school year. So they're going to select their top 8 choices on the registration cards with an X. So they're going to select the top 8. This includes core classes and electives all together, 8 of them. And then they're going to select 6 alternate courses. There's going to be 3 in bold and 3 not in bold, and you're going to write those on the back, and we'll go over that in 1 second. So it seems like you are going to be selecting a lot of classes. So 2 types of classes, 4x4 or semester long classes. It's sometimes easy for parents to think of this as like college classes where it's just 1 semester. And if it's the same as it was this year, it's just going to be August to Christmas break. So August to Christmas break is going to be most of the core classes. So English, math, world history, science, that's going to be a 1 semester class. So they're just going to be completely done with it after 1 semester, unless they're doing the year-long plan. These classes are not in bold on the card. So anything that is in just regular font is going to be considered a 1 semester class. We also have classes that are offered A-Day, B-Day. This is going to be a lot of the arts classes, AP classes, some of the business classes. Health and PE is offered this way. It's offered both ways. And those are going to be every other day for a full school year. So while it seems like it's longer, it's actually the exact same amount of time in class, just one's on A-Day, one's on B-Day. And again, to parents, it feels a little like, how are they going to know which day? They'll always know because they remember what they took yesterday. So they always know what day comes next. It just becomes kind of second nature. And of course, there is a calendar online as well. These classes are in bold on the card. So anything you see in bold is an A-Day, B-Day class, and has to be selected in pairs because there has to be a pair. So if you want to take AP World History, for example, that one is in bold. So you have to find another class to pair up with it. So you have 1 on A-Day, 1 on B-Day. Of course, you're not planning what's on A-Day and B-Day. We do that, but they do have to be selected in pairs. That's the biggest thing to remember is you need pairs of the bolded classes if you choose any, and then everything else needs to total up to 8. So here are 2 examples of what that might look like. So for the first one that you see on the left here, semester 1, August through December, they might go to first block English, then honors world history, and then third block might be where they have an A-Day, B-Day class. So on A-Days, they go to Spanish all year long, and on B-Days, they go to chorus all year long. And then fourth block is marketing. And then they'll take their final exams in December, and when we come back in January, they're going to start with brand new 1 semester classes. So maybe honors math 1, honors earth science. That Spanish and course is not going to change because that's a year-long class, and then health and PE. On the right is another example of a schedule. This one has no year-long classes. So this person might first semester have foundations of math, honors world history, honors English, and marketing. Take their final exams, semester ends, and then they're looking at semester 2 with math 1, honors earth science, principles, business, and health and PE. So this student on the right only goes to 4 classes per day. They only have to worry about 4 per semester, which is awesome. Like it really is a great way for students to really focus in on just what they're working on and any extracurriculars. The person on the left is taking 6 classes at a time. Oh, I'm sorry, 5. They're taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time. This isn't something necessarily you need to say, well, I'd rather take 4 instead of 5. It's not really a consideration like that, but it is something just so you can be aware of what their schedule might look like depending on the classes that they choose. Just to get a visual. I know it can be a little confusing. Okay, so what classes am I supposed to be taking? All 9th graders take English, math, science, world history, and health and PE. So those are the 5 that every single 9th grader is going to take. They might also take that foundations of English class. They might also take foundations of math. And then they're going to choose, and however many is left is how many electives they have. So let's say they choose foundations of English and English, math, earth science, world history, and PE. that's 6 classes. They'll have 2 spaces left for additional electives that they want to take. So it'll be up to 3 electives. We are aware that there are students who are not necessarily in this exact situation, and we can definitely address those questions individually. Okay, so here are the English options. Again, this is exactly what you would see on the card. So like Ms. Brooks said, students can really consider with their parents if they're wanting to do that Foundations of English and English 1. So that would be an English class first semester, same teacher leading into second semester. So it's kind of that, and it's the same block. So it's a very consistent, nice way to focus on that class just for one period all year. So that's year long, you get 2 credits. Don't get hung up on the credits so much, but it does count as 2 of your classes. Or potentially honors English 1 if your student really loves to read, they really want to challenge themselves with English. We do have honors English 1, and of course we also have ESL English 1. Math, if a student is in Math 8 currently, they will be taking Foundations of Math 1 first semester and Math 1 second semester. Same thing, where there is just, they have one teacher, same class all year. It's not going to be shuffled around or anything. And then a select few students may get recommended by their teacher for Honors Math 1 or Honors Math 2 if they're in Math 1 right now, or Honors Math 3. Students cannot take more than 1 math class per year. We understand that lots of students, you may have moved here, you may not have gotten the opportunity, you might want to get ahead so you can get to high level classes. Unfortunately, you cannot take 2 math classes in 1 year, and that is just an Ardrey Cal policy. Science, there are 2 science choices, honors earth and environmental science or honors biology. How do you decide? If a student is in Math 1 in 8th grade, you may select honors biology. This class is just kind of, it's a flip of the plan, trajectory, however you want to kind of say it. So if you choose earth science, you're going to go earth science, then biology, and then chemistry, then you're done. If you start with honors biology, you're going to go biology, chemistry, AP environmental science. So basically we flip-flop the order and give you environmental science as a college level class later. So a student who signs up for honors biology needs to, number 1, have taken Math 1 and been successful in it, and also plan on taking an AP science later. We do ask those juniors to commit to that college level AP environmental science later. Again, this is one that there's a lot of information on our website on the science sequencing guide that you can find there about which one to pick and what a science teacher might recommend for you. But again, you cannot select honors biology if you have not taken Math 1. Oh, and of course, you can write in standard earth science if that is what you choose as well. And you can also put that in the computer. World history, everybody's going to take world history. You can write in standard, like I just said, honors world history or AP world history. So this is the one core class that there is an AP option right out of the bat. AP world history is a really rigorous class. It is difficult. It is a lot of memorization, a lot of dates, a lot of writing, reading, summarizing, comprehending really heavy, detailed material. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. It is a great class, but one that a student should not take lightly. And a social studies elective does not replace world history. So a student may not take, like, sociology is considered a social studies elective. That would not replace world history. The world history is a required 9th grade class. Health and PE, we teach both ways. This is a required class for 9th grade, and we teach it as a 1 semester and as a year long so that students can make that pair really easy. So if a student knows right off the bat, I'm definitely going to take Spanish 1 next year, which is a year-long class, they can go ahead and say, okay, let me go ahead and pair it up with that health and PE year long. And that's a great way to just make that pair and be done with it, and then choose the rest as 1 semester classes. It's best to choose this last. So basically, pick out your core classes, pick out your electives, get to 7 total, and then see where you need to make a pair or make a match, and then select health and PE either way that, that fits. Electives, we have lots of fine arts. We have chorus, band, theater, orchestra, CTE classes. There's business classes, marketing classes, computer-based classes. We have some general electives like ROTC, speech and debate, sports medicine, social studies electives like sociology, and of course, world languages, French, German, and Spanish. If you do not see something on the card, it is because it is not available to freshmen. So while you may have heard of somebody taking honors forensic science, for example, that's actually a class that's only offered to juniors and seniors. So again, if it's an elective, especially that you do not see on the card, it's because freshmen are not permitted to take that course and you cannot select. Some notes on elective classes. We get asked a lot, do I have to choose one from every box? So do I have to take an art? Do I have to take a CTE class? No, you don't. You can take whatever you want. That's the best thing about high school. It's all about finding what you enjoy and taking those classes. You know, it's you kind of got dabbled in that in middle school. So you may have found out like, okay, I like those Microsoft Office classes, or I really enjoyed my theater class. I want to take some more of those. And the good news is every single year that you are at Ardrey Kell, the classes open more and more and more. There's second levels, there's higher levels, there's AP. So the classes really kind of bloom per se as you get older. So we really just want you to choose based on interest at this point. And for world languages, we kind of go, we want you to really think about your schedule. We consider it like a core class. It's going to be the same amount of rigor, difficulty, homework, brain space that a core class is. So if you're somebody who's maybe a little bit more tentative about starting high school and thinking about like, how's it going to go? What's it going to be like? Maybe hold off on the language. You'd still be able to get 3 levels in, level 1, 2, and 3, sophomore, junior, and senior year. So you don't have to start next year. Of course, if you're in Spanish 1 now, you probably would want to go ahead and continue with Spanish 2 next year for continuity's sake. Taking a year off could be a little tough. But certainly you're also allowed to switch languages. So if you took Spanish 1 last year, you could take German 1 next year if you want. But there's no graduation requirement, but most four-year colleges do require 2 levels. So if you took Spanish 1 last year and want to do German 1 next year, switch it up, that's fine. But you do have to also take German 2 to kind of qualify for a 4-year college. It can't be 2 first level classes together. AP classes, I'm sure you have heard through the grapevine, they are hard. They're not easy classes, but we do like to offer them. There are plenty of freshmen who are ready and prepared to take college level classes, and you can take one. So freshmen can take one class. We do know there are some extenuating circumstances. Of course, we will work with those students and families individually, but you can take one, and that can be AP Human Geography, AP Psychology, or AP World History. Again, there's an entire tab on the registration website with a video from the actual teacher of the course explaining exactly what it's going to look like, and a document from each teacher, kind of like, here are the general topics, here's how the class is laid out. Is it going to be very test-based? Is it going to be a lot of writing? So if you're considering it, please, please, please watch those videos. They are incredibly helpful. I watched them all to be sure that I was speaking about them accurately and I kind of understood the rigor. Teachers took a lot of time to really put that together so that we could make sure we're making really good choices. They are college level classes. So next year you might only be 13, 14 years old taking a class intended for a 19-year-old. So that is something to really remember when you're thinking about AP classes at Ardrey Kell. They are very high level and they're very rigorous. And so understand that once you're scheduled into that, you cannot drop it. So for Amnesty Day in May, that scheduling change period I was talking about, you can. But when it comes to next fall, if you get into AP Psych and you're in it for 2 weeks and you're like, oh, this is way too much, we unfortunately do not allow students to drop. So be absolutely sure that if you sign up for it, you do intend to complete it. Things to keep in mind, like I said, it's a big year. It's a big transition. It's going to be a big transition for everybody going back to school. If we do go back, it's going to be a total shift in thinking. It's going to be a shift in the way that you approach school because you've been able to kind of make some adjustments being at home or going in on a different kind of rotation schedule. So don't take on too much. We definitely see some freshmen who really feel like I've got to take all honors and 1 AP and I've really got to make sure I'm getting set up for college. And that is true. We do want you to be prepared, but I promise you that all the classes are preparing you for college or whatever comes after high school for you. So don't take on too much. We want you to be challenged, but not stressed. We do not want this to be the hardest year of high school for you at all. We want you to have time to do extracurriculars, make friends, be in clubs, be on sports teams, do things on your own outside of school. It doesn't have to be things with Ardrey Kell, but we do want you to make sure you do have time for that. We strive for balance and happy students. And please, the best people to talk to about this are your students' current teachers. So you are welcome to reach out to the Ardrey Kell counselor. But if you're going to ask, should Jamie be in Honors Math 1? I don't know. Your student's math teacher is the only person who can really give the best recommendation for that. So please have those conversations with them if you are unsure. And of course, review the registration website for all pieces of information. I promise any question that you have has been answered on there, because we've already kind of been through it with high school now. We're about done with high school. So we have made sure we have added things as they have come up. So you should find everything that you need there. Okay, so to wrap up, again, the completed and signed registration cards, the hard copies, are due back to school on Monday, March 22nd. I'm sure there will be a bin outside or an assigned time for them to be dropped off. Course selections will be entered to PowerSchool before that. So you'll have as of yesterday, I think it opened, and all through Sunday to talk to your teachers, to look at the registration website, view the videos, talk about it, decide, and then enter those course selections. And of course, we will be looking for those cards on Monday. And then next week on the 24th and 25th, we will be meeting with every single student to review those course selections. And if you as a parent don't hear from us, that's a great sign. That just means that you chose totally appropriately, and we're very happy with the selections. If you do hear from us, again, it's just because we want to discuss a concern, or maybe the student is wanting to change something that maybe wasn't discussed with you. So we just want to be absolutely sure we're all on the same page. And then of course, we will have a Rising ninth grade night at Ardrey Kell in late April. This will be just an opportunity to kind of hear about, like, what is ninth grade like? What opportunities are out there? How do we stay connected? How do we make sure that my child is having a balanced but also challenging year? Any questions you have will be on that Rising 8th grade parent night. And I believe that is the last slide. So I think what we're going to do now is questions and answers. And there are currently 178 participants. Before we start the question and answer, Ms. Brooks, did I miss anything? Is there anything you wanted to add that you would want everybody to kind of hear?
No, I think that's good. I thought that you did a wonderful job. I think one thing I would just like to clarify about the evening in April, we don't know whether that will be at the school or virtual. I don't want folks to think that we're definitely going to be able to have all of our rising ninth graders come into AK. We don't really know what all of that looks like, but we will have additional opportunities prior to the beginning of ninth grade for more time for you to learn about AK and ask other questions.
Great, thank you. Okay, so let's just take a minute. I'm trying to think if we should do breakout rooms, since there's so many. If it seems like not a lot of people have logged off, so a lot of people either have questions or kind of want to hear some of the questions and answers. It's kind of hard. So I will kind of review the chat for a second. Oh, it looks like, okay, the counselors have been responding in the chat. Perfect. Okay, so I guess what we can do is kind of open it up. If you want to take yourself off of mute, and we can, I'm going to stop recording this so that we can post it on the website.